I did get DinoKing. This was based on Ethan Van Sciver's very, very glorious review there.
DinoKing by Liam Gray. Way better than anything I've read in a long time.
No way.
I'm not even kidding you. This is like superior writing. The lead character's lovable, likable. There's violence in it. It's the right length. This is legitimately excellent. I'm not with you. I promise you. I'm telling you the truth.
He doesn't really give these type of exceptional reviews quite often. And so I thought, why not? Let me go ahead and take a chance and back it. It teaches this lesson that I think would be good for younger kids, but then it also kind of has some questionable language in it. So, that was a little bit disappointing because, it has mature language in it. And I mean, it is a mature rated book because it does have the intense gore and violence. I think because I built it up in my head based off of EVS's very strong opinion. When I did the first read through, I was just kind of like, I don't feel it warranted that much praise. It's one of those things where you kind of build something up in your mind, and then when you actually get it, you're like, okay, it's not exactly what I was thinking. And then I went to read it again, and I started absorbing more of it. It has a lot of moments where it hits, like you're like, oh, that's a really good line, or I like that this happened. But on a whole, once you're done reading it, it's like it's just setting it up for the rest of the story. You don't feel like, or at least I didn't feel like, a lot really happened. With DinoKing, you have this other planet where the dinosaurs are highly intelligent and evolved. There are human beings on this planet. You have kind of this clandestine organization that they rule over everything, and the humans are kind of relegated to this little pocket of the world. They're so insignificant that they're kind of left alone up to a point, and that's where we kind of come across the main characters in the book. A brother and sister, young brother and sister. They're kind of out on the edge of what's considered safe, this forest area, just kind of collecting mushrooms and stuff for dinner and everything. And then they hear this noise, and they decide to investigate further. The brother and sister, Kenny and Mia, they end up investigating and discover a dinosaur, but it's not a dinosaur per se. It looks like a savage young man, and he's just tearing apart this deer or elk or whatever that he's killed. And he's startled when the kids appear, and he thinks that they have come because it's just everything with him is primal. He thinks that they're coming to steal his meal. You're like, oh Lord, what the heck's going to happen to these poor kids? And then later you find out that he doesn't know where he's from. He has these primal urges, almost like an animal. And so he goes and he helps the kids. They were kind of lost, and he helps them back on the path so they could eventually make their way home. The mother, when she sees them and sees how he's dressed, is horrified because he is, as it turns out, you find out later on, he's wearing a garb from a town that has been completely annihilated. So she is unnerved by this and probably doesn't want to bring that kind of problem to her home and endanger her kids. They say, you've always taught us to help our fellow man and be compassionate, which is a good lesson that parents should be teaching their kids, although not talking to strangers that are just eating a dead deer would probably be another one of those lessons. But I digress. Kids are a little bit naive, and don't always sense danger. The mysterious stranger collapses. He's just so hungry, and he's, like I said, just operating on these primal urges. They decide to take him in. The next day, he wakes up. He hears this name, Kaiji, and he is confused by this. The stranger says, "What is Kaiji?" And they have given this stranger a name because he told them that he has no memory. He doesn't know who he is. So they have decided to bring him in and give him a name so he can feel more welcome. And so this is kind of his, the second interaction with the children where they're showing him kindness and compassion. And again, these are all great lessons. I like how Liam laid this out, and he mentioned that this was inspired by the compassion he received when he was kind of a troubled youth and some kind people took him in. So you kind of see that playing out here within the story. So they bring him to the table. It's breakfast time. He says it smells good. I like this here. He makes a note. It's kind of written very softly. But he says, "You control fire," which, it shows just how primitive he's operating on. And they sit at the table and he doesn't know what to do because he had to go and hunt for his food. They're talking to him and he's just kind of dumbfounded. And the mother is just finally says, "Wait a minute, you don't understand what we're saying." Kenji says, "But this food is yours." He's so overwhelmed by their kindness and compassion. He kind of gets taken in by the family. He learns how to do chores, simple chores, because they tell him this is another thing that makes us different from the animals, is having a purpose from day to day. You get up, you have your chores to maintain your home, your security. And so he struggles to kind of learn that, and his first encounter with trying to tend to the farm doesn't really go too well. He kind of unintentionally is destructive and destroys things. He doesn't really know what he's doing. Eager to please, it says, he has killed the cabbage. But they don't complain. They're always patient with him. And he gets a little discouraged. And this is another thing. Again, there's all these nice little wholesome messages that Liam has included in here. Mother says, "Don't be discouraged. Accidents happen." And then Kaiji is just saying, I'll never find my purpose. And then she says, "If you keep searching for failure, you'll always find it." Just really positive messages. And so she kind of smacks some sense into him, literally. And then he starts to slowly get it over time. I'll skip ahead a little bit. There comes a point where the nice little peace that Kaiji has found with the family is interrupted. So he gets visited by some of these intelligent dinosaurs. Come to find out that Kaiji, he has a bit of a past and this connection to the dinosaurs, and his past has come back to haunt him. He has amnesia for a reason. He's used as a tool for what I don't want to say, but he kind of has a choice later on, and he has to decide what path he wants to take in his life. That interaction that he had with the family, although brief, that plays a big role in the second half of the story. The second half of the story is a lot of action. I feel like the art kind of got a lot more raw and feral. Some of the stuff was kind of hard to follow, like the savagery that Kaiji is experiencing at the hands of these dinosaurs almost feels like it is being represented in just in the art itself. I think it is a good book. The characters are incredibly likable. I'm intrigued by Kaiji. I want to learn more about his past and what choices he's going to make in the future. Jolly Green, so you're saying it was disappointing. I found it a little bit disappointing, but that's, I don't want to say that everyone's going to experience that same thing. I think it depends on how much you manage your expectations and how much you build it up in your mind. And I think you kind of have to take, EVS's hype, not with a grain of salt, but, you kind of have to, manage that too, because he is a showman. And I do feel that he was giving his opinion. I do feel that he genuinely liked the book and liked the message of the book. But I think probably a little bit of showmanship there in terms of hyping it up, when he got on with John Malin and he's like, "I just read the best book and it blew everything the Kings have ever done out of the water." That was going to be a pretty high bar, that he's setting there. And it's like, I almost feel like the only outcome for that was slight disappointment. But I still want to say that this was an enjoyable experience for me. Will that be the same for everybody? I don't know. I definitely don't feel it was a waste of my time or money. This, I guess, could be a good barometer here. Am I going to back DinoKing 2? I will, because I cared enough about Kaiji and Kinney and Mia, that whole kind of family dynamic that was starting to develop. I care enough about that to see it through, through to conclusion.